can't say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows, only time.
All right, let's wrap up history class this week by finishing talking about the Babylonians. Okay, we've been talking about them all week long. We talked about King Hammurabi and his laws. We talked about King Nebuchadnezzar and his empire. He was basically the first king of the world. And now I want to talk about what life was like for the Babylonians. What sort of things did they do to make civilization better? Well, one of the things they did was they looked at the sky at night. They looked at all those stars and they said, wow, that's a lot of stars. What can we learn about those stars?
Timon,
Yeah?
ever wonder what those sparkly dots are up there?
Pumbaa. I don't wonder. I know.
Oh, what are they?
They're fireflies. Fireflies that got stuck up in that big bluish black thing.
Oh, gee. I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
Pumbaa, with you, everything's gas.
Okay, it wasn't quite like that, but the idea is still there. They wanted to learn about the stars. So, they studied them. They watched them at night. They watched how they moved. They watched the planets. They didn't know that there were more planets. They thought those were also stars, but they still watched them anyway. They wanted to learn everything they could learn about the sky at night. And we call this astronomy. Astronomy, the study of the stars. A lot of the things that the Babylonians discovered, we still use today. The Babylonians were the first people to really start studying the stars. Now, they also had something called astrology, which we're not learning about. Astrology is telling the future by looking at the stars. You can't tell the future by looking at the stars. There are still some people today who believe that. Okay? It's a very, very dumb thing to believe. You cannot tell the future by looking at the stars. All right? So they got that wrong. But they did get it right, that you could learn more about the stars by studying them. And they came up with the idea of astronomy. Okay. Something else that the Babylonians came up with was the idea of building big cities. Now, again, there were some big cities before, especially where the king lived. Okay? Going back to the land of Egypt, where Moses came from, there were big cities there. But Babylon started off as just one little city. And we said that a whole bunch of the places in Sumer started off as just one little city. But Babylon grew. Babylon grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew until it became the biggest city in the world. Babylon, question number 2 there. What was so special about the city of Babylon? The answer is, it was the biggest city in the world. As it brought in more money, as it became more powerful, more and more people said, hey, I want to go live where Babylon is. And so they would go move to Babylon, and so they would build up the city bigger. And then more people would come to build the city bigger and bigger and bigger. Babylon was the biggest city in the world. It was still around. Okay. They understand the importance of bringing people together. Instead of doing what the nomads were doing, which is some going here, some going there, they knew that by bringing themselves together, they made themselves stronger. So what did the art of the Babylonians look like? That's your third question there. What sort of things did they make? Well, we can show you some pictures here. As you can see, there's a lot of statues, a lot of carving, a lot of stonework. Okay? Now, in our map of Macedonia, we saw a lot of green growing lands, a lot of plants, a lot of trees, a lot of rivers, but there's not a whole lot of mountains. So whenever the Babylonians found a place where there was a lot of stone, they treated it like it was a precious metal, like gold or silver. People who could make things out of this stone were very important in Babylonian civilization. Okay. And they made some of the most beautiful carvings in the world. They carved things out of stone. They carved statues. They carved the gates. This here is the Ishtar Gate, which is believed to be one of the most beautiful carvings in the world. Okay? Yeah, I couldn't do that. You probably couldn't either. But they appreciated stone very much. And so they studied it very carefully so they could make more beautiful things out of it. Okay, so they helped to develop the idea of working with stone. All right. So, what are our 3 questions for today? Question number 1, what do we call the study of the stars? And that is astronomy. Question number 2, what was so special about the city of Babylon? It was the biggest city in the world. And number 3, what sort of art did the Babylonians make? That is statues and carvings out of stone. Okay. Next week, we will talk about another civilization that was from that same area, the civilization of Assyria. We'll leave that for another day. That's all for today, and I will see you on Monday.